This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Running a business is hard enough. Don't make it harder with a dozen apps that don't talk to each other. One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. That's software overload. Odoo is the all-in-one platform that replaces them all. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, fully integrated, easy to use, and built to grow with your business. Thousands have already made the switch. Why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Hey everyone, Josh and Chuck here to remind you that our last 3 shows of the year, and boy, this is a good show this year, are taking place very soon and tickets are still available.
Yeah, so get in the saddle and come out and see us partners in Orlando, Atlanta, and Nashville.
Just go to stuffyoushouldknow.com and click on the tour link and you can get all your tickets right there.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and Jerry's here too. And this is Stuff You Should Know about PCP. And yes, we're talking about the PCP you think we're talking about.
The one from if you were a child of the 70s and 80s, where you heard that your friend's cousin did it, and they carved their face off with a butcher knife and then jumped off a building because they thought they could fly?
Yes, as a matter of fact. That's exactly the PCP we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which stands for, by the way, I'm going to attempt this chemical name. You ready?
This one's easy. No pressure.
Okay. I don't know how to say the ones. So I'm just going to say. I
just ignored that part.
No, I think it's kind of important chemically speaking. I think they didn't just put part of it in parentheses for nothing. But I'm just going to call it 1,1-phenylcyclohexyl piperidine. And those in the know.
Pepperdine?
Piperidine. Probably piperidine.
I think it's piperidine.
Those in the know who don't smoke PCP but study it.
Oh, no, you got it wrong. Piperidine.
Oh, I actually took out a syllable this time.
Oh, man, this is gold.
So the people who study it call it phencyclidine.
Oh, okay. With
a PH because it's fat.
Yeah. And if you're wondering, like, oh, why do people even study this old street drug from the 70s? It's because it wasn't always that. It was kind of the precursor to ketamine in a lot of ways, which we'll talk about here and there.
Uh-huh.
And if you think, well, people study ketamine, the party drug, well, that's true too, because both PCP and ketamine had legitimate uses and were created for legitimate uses, like many drugs, recreational drugs.
The Germans gave us both heroin and PCP. I think in 1926, German chemists created PCP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they were creating it for. I think this was a time of experimentation in chemistry where you just put stuff together and saw what happened.
Sure.
So it sat on the shelf for almost 30 years before Park Davis, a pharmaceutical company from the United States, which is now part of Pfizer, I believe, they came along and they said, hey, this would be a gangbusters tranquilizer, sedative, something. Let's figure out what to do with this because I just smoked some out back and I feel like $1 million.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we should use this stuff.
So they looked at it as an anesthetic at first, and I think it first came to market in like the mid-50s. And by 1965, they had removed it from the market. The reason they removed it from the market is, one, it showed very quickly it had a high potential for abuse because the hippies in San Francisco started smoking it before there was even hippies in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it had a slew of side effects that you just really don't want, which is one of the reasons why we'll say you probably shouldn't do PCP.
Yeah, we should have led with that.
Sure.
Like, what if someone heard the first, 4 minutes of the episode?
It turned it out. They're like, I got to go try PCP.
Yeah, because Josh and Chuck said it exists.
Right.
Yeah, don't do PCP, everybody. You shouldn't do that. And this is not, coming as a sort of satanic, panicky 80s, you're going to jump off a building because you think you can fly kind of thing.
Right.
It's just not a drug you want to do. So, like you said, uses, well, I don't think we've even said it yet. Uses really dropped off over the years. It was a very much a bigger deal in the 1970s and 80s. I think stats that the Grabster found for us saw that between 76 and 77, use among high school students doubled. And in a 1979 study, 7% of high school seniors reported having used PCP in the last year. In 2013, that was down to less than 1%. And then in 2020, though the stats are a little bit different, I think it went down to like 0.0002% of the country, not just high school students. So
of adults.
Yeah, like 52,000 people, adults. It says 12 and over.
Hey, you're old enough to smoke PCP. You're old enough to be considered an adult.
That's right, but you can't vote.
It doesn't matter what age you are. If you smoke a lot of PCP, you probably shouldn't vote anyway.
Right. Oh, I thought you were going to say then you've earned the right to vote.
I don't know. I think the opposite, maybe. I don't know.
So all that to say, it used to be a pretty, frequent recreational street drug, and it has really, really gone out of fashion, in large part because ketamine is not the same exact thing, but it's largely the same thing, and that became, I guess, the trendier drug to use.
Yes. But it has remained in fashion in certain pockets, especially like deep in the inner cities of Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Kansas City.
Okay.
I believe, what's a town in Connecticut?
Hartford?
I don't know if it's Hartford, but there's at least 2 towns in Connecticut that have a lot of PCP use. And they think, I read this really great article in Vice about why America's the only country in the world, basically literally, where people use PCP.
Still or ever?
Ever.
Like
but
ever
still
did?
As well, ever.
Oh,
yeah, it never
wow.
really made it out of America. It was written by Max Daly and Sam Iravani. It's definitely worth a read. But they say one of the reasons why it's so overlooked and one of the reasons why it's not that studied and one of the reasons why you're just like, yeah, ketamine replaced it is because the people who do use it tend to be marginalized, unemployed, Black, inner city men ages mid-20s to mid-50s are typically the people who get busted for PCP. So it's kind of like it's viewed as this drug that like a drug of inequality, I think is how they put it. And that'll come up later, too, because some of the myths around it seem to be tied to the people who use it. Now,
I'm not a very smart person, but if there are like 2 towns or 2 cities in Connecticut that are known for PCP still, doesn't that just mean there's someone in 2 towns in Connecticut that are making PCP?
So, no, almost all of the PCP in the world, because it's almost all of the PCP in the United States, are still controlled and made by Black street gangs in L.A., like Crips, Bloods.
That's weird then. How does it get to these 2 weird specific places in Connecticut?
Right.
I don't know.
Those cities that still do and have always smoked PCP, it's always been around, are cities that have like clearly some way or another very deep ties to those same LA street gangs because it's really hard to distribute PCP.
Very interesting.
Really hard. So for it to show up in Connecticut from LA, there's like somebody's cousin lives there and is controlling the PCP market, and they're getting it directly from somebody in LA who knows a chemist who will go out into the desert and make him PCP all day long.
Oh, that makes sense because I don't know. It seems like there would be like a Walter White in Connecticut or something, but they're still out in the desert.
Yes, supposedly it's all coming out from LA.
All right. Well, in 78 is when the United States government said, all right, this thing is officially a Schedule II controlled substance, which means, a lot of things. We've talked about the different drug schedules, but it means that its prevalence of abuse is a big deal and that it can be addictive. And, it's ranked right up there with cocaine and crystal meth and stuff like that, which I think we've covered all those before.
Yeah, and in fact, it shares a precursor drug, pyridine, with crystal meth.
But it's not that.
No, it is not. And it actually does have anesthetic effects. Like one of the side effects of ingesting PCP one way or another is like, not only do you not really feel pain, you don't experience pain because you're disassociated from your body. It's a dissociative hypnotic sedative, essentially. And one of the reasons why
Good band name.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have to add the essentially, though.
Oh.
Comma, essentially.
Sure.
But one of the reasons why PCP and ketamine were first brought to market was because they produce sedative effects. Like you don't really know what's going on after a certain dose. You're not really with it. You actually can fall into a coma with your eyes open. But it doesn't slow your heart rate or pulse or anything like that. So it really made ketamine in particular found a great use as a battlefield sedative for surgery in like Vietnam, where somebody might have lost a lot of blood. They couldn't handle a traditional sedative or anesthesia. So they gave them ketamine, and it did the same trick without dropping their blood pressure even further.
Yeah. And what's good for the battlefield is good for the rave. But it makes total sense, because if you were like, as far as the rave culture goes or went, I don't think, is that still a thing even? Sure. It's got to be somewhere, right?
If it isn't, it's coming back soon because the 90s are so hot right now.
Yeah. Somebody's out there raving with their big, they're not bell bottoms even. Did those have a name?
Just baggy jeans?
No, it was just like the pants that had like 2 foot, what's it called there at the bottom? What's the bottom of your pants like called?
The cuff?
Cuff?
The bottom?
Remember those big pants?
Yeah, they didn't, but the whole leg was like that, essentially. It was just the waist that was a generally normal size. The legs were huge. Believe me, buddy, I had more than one pair of those.
I thought they flared. Oh, boy, I'd do anything to see you in a pair of those.
I had some cool ones, too, but I also had some uncool ones.
We used to, when we lived in these warehouses in the west end of Atlanta in 99, 2000, and there was a big rave loft over there. Like people would drive from different states to go to these things, thousands of kids. And we used to just sit around and play pavement and laugh and make fun of them in those pants.
And they were doing ketamine. And you're like, look at those losers.
Probably. But where I was going with all this was, I guess it makes sense why PCP and ketamine and that kind of thing would have been, because, you feel funky, but it doesn't like slow you down, essentially. No.
And in fact, it can actually increase your heart rate and do all sorts of other weird stuff to you. And what's really odd about it is that it has a lot of paradoxical effects on humans. I say we talk a little bit about how it impacts the brain, and I think that'll become apparent. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's considered a N-methyl D-aspartate antagonist, NMDA antagonist.
Yeah.
And NMDA receptors are really important as far as things like memory formation, neuroplasticity, very important stuff. But they're triggered by glutamate. And what PCP does is it prevents those NMDA receptors from accepting glutamate and hence firing. And because there's either more glutamate or less glutamate in your body, I think less glutamate floating around is what it is, a whole host of other stuff happens, like dopamine and norepinephrine get released.
Yeah.
Those two and serotonin, their reuptake is inhibited, so they're floating around in your brain even longer.
So that's all the good feely stuff.
Right. Your opioid receptors are stimulated as a result. Your nicotinic receptors, which control things like your neuromuscular activity, rapid neural transmission, essentially. And then your muscarinic activity, which includes like breathing, your pupils, salivation. All these things are going haywire. And then what else is weird about it is that your central nervous system can be both depressed and excited by this same drug. This is how nuts an effect it has on your brain, so that you can cycle between like utter sedation to the point of catatonia And between that and serious agitation, where like you see, videos of people who are being arrested and they're not like hitting the ground, even though they're getting sprayed in the face with bear spray because they're so on like a rant. So it has like all these really crazy effects, but it all comes down to the fact that it affects your ability to receive glutamate in your NMDA receptors.
Yeah, and we'll talk a bit more about that sort of reputation as like a superhuman strength, like, it takes 12 cops to subdue someone on PCP thing in a little bit. What were those people on those videos that you sent me?
Ketamine.
Was that okay? So Josh sent me some videos and of people, I guess, the next day or whatever on ketamine, or I assume it was the next day.
I think it was hours later. It was like sunup,
hours afterward.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, and they were almost all of them when they were walking like down the sidewalk or whatever had this backward lean as if they were walking up like a very, very steep hill, but it was on solid ground. And then the one guy, if there was a very slight incline on the sidewalk, and he would take a few steps up and then take a few back. And
yeah, he had a hard time.
They were all having a hard time, and it was just, I don't know, it's just sad to see someone in that sort of a stupor around in the daylight when people are going to work and stuff.
Right. Well, the thing that really kind of makes it worth watching is they're with it enough to know that they shouldn't be walking weird in public, and that you can tell they suspect that they might be. So
it's kind of funny in a way, but it's really not when you really think about it,
Well, watching them play it off or try to play it off and just fail utterly at it, that's objectively funny to see.
And it doesn't help that they did the Staying Alive Bee Gees song cut to it. My friend in college used to call, not on drugs, but if you were drunk and you were trying to like play it off like you were super sober and walking around, he called that sugarfooting. Like you're not just like, oh, I'm just going to walk down the street. You're thinking left foot, right foot,
right.
Everything's fine.
Exactly.
And he called it sugarfooting, which I always thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, there's a term for that, a medical term for it. Choreo something. I'm sure I'll turn it up at some point, but basically it's unwanted muscle movement. So you're trying to just walk, but you're also doing like just like you're dancing essentially, even though you don't mean to, and you're trying really hard not to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the side effects of it is these unwanted muscle movements. And then also for that reason, in San Francisco, when it first started being abused on the street, the hippies called it wobble weed.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes a lot more sense now that you know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the association with marijuana, too, in a little bit. But why don't we take a break, yeah?
Yep.
All right, we'll put on Staying Alive, and we'll stumble up the sidewalk, and we'll be right back.
We've all had the experience of calling a business and just wanting to talk to a real person. Not an automated voice pretending to be human, an actual person who can listen and understand and offer help.
That's exactly what you can do with Ruby. Ruby is the virtual receptionist company that takes care of your callers when you're unavailable in the middle of something or simply don't want to pick up.
That's right. They can answer, screen, transfer calls. They can take messages, collect payments, book appointments, and more, all while making the people you serve feel special.
And best of all, it can help you be more productive. For example, 9 out of 10 lawyers who use Ruby log more billable hours per day than the national average.
And other professionals like plumbers and technicians win more customers while being able to stay focused on the job. But whatever kind of small business you run, Ruby is built to save you time, earn you more customers or clients, and make meaningful connections with the people you serve.
It's available 24/7, 365 days a year, and 100% based in the U.S. See why more than 15,000 small businesses use Ruby. Visit ruby.com, or better yet, call them at 844-900-RUBY.
The springtime thaw is finally here. Flowers are blooming, days are longer. We're saying yes to more plans and finally getting outside, running, walking, just moving again. It's the perfect time to upgrade your everyday go-tos with Bombas. Take Bombas sports socks. They're super comfortable and designed with sports-specific tech for running, cycling, yoga, hiking, you name it. I use them to run in, and I can tell you they work beautifully. So head over to bombas.com and use code SYSK for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com, code SYSK at checkout.
So you're considering getting a home security system, but you want something that fits your space. Well, with ADT Blue, it's easy to customize a system that's right for you and set it up yourself. Just pick the kit and monitoring plan that makes sense for your home.
Yeah, well, let's say you're worried about package theft right off your front porch. The ADT Plus app can walk you through setting up a new doorbell camera kit. Once it's installed, ADT Pros can help you keep tabs on it 24/7, or you can manage it yourself from the ADT Plus app.
That's right, there are no long-term contracts, so you can change your monitoring plan whenever you want. The flexibility doesn't end there either. You can add to your system as you need with things like extra cameras or motion sensors.
Some life decisions are hard, but thanks to ADT Blue, you can get DIY trusted ADT home security in a snap. Head to ADT.com/BLU to build your system today. And to find out more about home protection, check out a new episode of Grown Up Stuff with security expert Joe Mazza, out now on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so we talked a little bit about what PCP does to you and sort of in the brain, and also how you can sugarfoot up the street. But it's not like, even though it was used as an anesthetic, that association with sleepiness isn't accurate, right?
No, it's not. And like I said, you can go catatonic with your eyes open, but you're still able to like move around and do things that you just shouldn't be doing. Like I saw that people will frequently like try to get off a stretcher even though they're catatonic.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a dissociative, and you feel not connected to your body. Your senses are coming in hot and weird and not making any sense to you, you know? It removes ego boundaries, so your feeling of self and the distinction between you and other people and the rest of the world around you and the supernatural has kind of blurred or fallen away.
Right. I've heard dreamlike from, to be honest, I've known people who've done this, and they've said dreamlike.
I could imagine that. And then also one of the other things I saw that I thought was just fascinating is that it makes it difficult to tell whether an event has already happened in the past, is going to happen in the future, or is happening now.
Right. The whole time jump thing, right?
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
And then, of course, because it's a hypnotic sedative that affects your NMDA receptors that are involved in memory formation, you frequently black out. Even though you're walking around doing stuff and even interacting, you probably aren't going to remember most of it.
Yeah, big memory impacts. And the stuff comes on very quickly too, which is one of the I think historically like the most addictive kind of recreational street drugs are ones that are really fast acting. Mm-hmm. And PCP is definitely one of those. What I didn't see, or maybe I just overlooked it, is how long it lasts.
It can last for 24 hours.
Right. It's a long-lasting deal. Okay, that's right. I did read that because I remember like when we did the crack episode, I think I always thought that crack was some long-term thing, but was shocked to learn it was just like a super quick high.
Yeah, and I think this can be, but it depends on how you take it, right?
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, there's different ways you can take it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, it used to be in the earlier days, it was like a liquid PCP, a lot of times that you would take orally, but very quickly, the most recreational users used it like, it came in like a crystalline powder, and they would typically smoke it or snort it like a heroin or a cocaine, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that became sort of the main way, aside from, and again, I said earlier, we were going to talk about the Marijuana Association. There was dipping a marijuana joint or just a regular cigarette in liquid PCP has, you can do that with a lot of drugs. They're called wet drugs. Mm-hmm. And it's a thing. And there was some confusion about the names because I knew what Sherm was because I'd heard that in a movie from Tarantino movie. Which one was that?
Really? They talked
Yeah.
about Sherman, a Tarantino movie?
I think it was the one he wrote only. Was it True Romance?
Uh-huh.
Or maybe it was Pulp Fiction. It was Sam Jackson, and he wasn't in True Romance.
No, I don't believe he was. That was Gary Oldman.
Anyway, you smoke enough Sherm, something, something, something was the line. And that's the first time I had heard that word, but that's a cigarette that was dipped in embalming chemicals. Mm-hmm. And I think kind of like a prison drug a lot of times, because that was something that you could get apparently easier than, regular hard drugs.
Right.
And I think for a time there was like PCP was sometimes mixed with embalming fluid. Sometimes the just names were used interchangeably. There was a lot of confusion in the media about embalming fluid and PCP.
Yeah.
And I read a lot about it today, and where I landed was sometimes it might have been mixed with PCP, but sometimes people were smoking embalming fluid as well.
So what I found from my research is that, so this was a big thing in like the mid 90s to the early 2000s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that if you were smoking embalming fluid and you got high, it's because there was PCP in that embalming fluid.
Oh, so it was mixed.
And that it was, yes. And that it was that I read from somebody, a medical examiner, who said like, you don't get high at all from embalming fluid. He's like, I used to mix it myself. Mm-hmm. And if anybody would have gotten high from it, I've spent more time around it than most people, never got even the slightest buzz. So it's the PCP that's making you high.
Gotcha.
And it might not even be embalming fluid in the first place, because PCP has kind of a very distinct chemically smell and taste. Uh-huh. And you could easily pass it off as embalming fluid to somebody who'd never smoked PCP before. The thing that I kind of landed on was that it was mistaken either among like recovery people or the media or something. The slang term for PCP, embalming fluid, came to be accepted as, teenagers are now smoking embalming fluid by the L7s. It ended up in the media, and it became self-perpetuating. I think some kind of particularly low intelligent drug dealers were like, we can sell embalming fluid. We're going to start robbing funeral homes, and then actually started selling embalming fluid. And it was all just a comedy of errors.
Yeah, that makes sense of why it's so hard to separate fact from fiction online today, because it's all over the place once you start looking into that thing.
Yeah, there's not really any drug ever. Crack used to come close in the 80s. People were hysterical about crack babies, super predators. It was really bad. But as like for duration of like the hysterical moral panic over it, PCP has every other drug beat by a mile, because not only is it like urban legend, but that urban legend becomes fact because the media reports it. Yeah. Drug abuse organizations say the same thing. The cops say the same thing. Everybody's saying these same things. Like if you'll have superhuman strength, for example. That is not true. You don't get superhuman strength. We'll talk a little more about that. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's exactly what you said is exactly right. There's so much disinformation on PCP is you just end up having to guess here or there about what's true and what's not.
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and talk about it some. Okay, that was, right. I invoked the satanic panic. It was sort of around those same times when we were kids in the late 70s where, I mean, I remember PCP was like the scariest sounding thing on the planet. Yeah. And it was sort of made out to be like if you do PCP, there's a very good chance that you'll end up dead, and not from like overdosing on PCP, but because you've done something crazy, like, tried to bake yourself in an oven or something because you thought you were a cake. And every school, every region, every town had some story or set of stories that were passed around urban legend style. Well, there were urban legends about some friend of a friend or some friend's cousin who they know for sure did this, and they fought 15 cops. And Ed used an example of some kid who at a hockey game fought like 20 cops or something. And it's just so funny how those things proliferate. And we're not saying like in PCP it was just great, there was no problem with it, but it wasn't what it was made out to be, which was this a lot of times an excuse for cops to beat down a person, because all they have to do afterward is say, we suspected they were on PCP, and they had a crazy look in their eyes, and they were super strong.
Yeah.
Rodney King was supposedly on PCP. You heard some cops yelling out the word dust at the beginning of that video.
He's dusted.
Yeah, he's dusted. And that happens and happened all the time. I don't think it's quite as common now, but it was a very prominent thing back then.
Yeah, and in cop speak, he's dusted is raising the alarm that this person is going to try to kill all of us and possibly could, so go ahead and use excessive force. And it was used as a defense in the Rodney King trial. He didn't have any PCP in his system, by the way. But that fear, just the very fact that cops are scared of superhuman strength brought on by PCP is one of the things that got those officers off the hook in the Rodney King trial, the Rodney King beating trial. Just the fact that PCP gives people superhuman strength. They didn't know he wasn't on PCP. Ergo, they're not really guilty of using excessive force because he could have been on PCP. And if you strip away that argument, like these police officers were let off for beating a man in a circle because they were afraid he was on PCP, because PCP gives you superhuman strength, even though that doesn't actually happen. It's just a total myth that's perpetuated still today.
Oh, yeah, it's still around. I think you found this meta-analysis from a legal paper that really did some scouring and found 2 cases where PCP was the sole cause of like a violent behavior or violent episode.
Yeah, 2 out of like hundreds.
Yeah, and we're not saying that, people do all kinds of crazy things on all kinds of drugs. So we're not saying no one's ever been violent and had PCP in their system. Mm-hmm. But the key is, did PCP trigger and cause that thing to happen? And the evidence just says that that's just not the case.
No, from what I saw, it amplifies your personality 20 times, I think is what one person put it. So
if you want to beat up people anyway and you're aggressive anyway, then it might,
Then yes, that might be a problem. But you're not going to have superhuman strength. Potentially, the one explanation for that, because I did see videos of a dude on PCP who was getting bear sprayed in the face multiple times and just kind of wiped his eyes and kept walking around.
Was Staying Alive playing?
No, I had it on mute, so it's possible it was.
Okay.
But he kept getting tased repeatedly and nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't have superhuman strength. He was just disassociated from his senses, so he wasn't experiencing pain. So you will not move away from noxious stimuli like bear spray or tasers because it's not coming through. And finally,
but that's not superhuman strength.
That is not superhuman strength. And there's also a really, really like widespread idea that at least one person on PCP has snapped perfectly good handcuffs because of their superhuman strength. Yeah, it's just probably not the case that ever actually happened. So there's a lot of myths around this. And again, it's like you kind of hinted at, like, we're not defending PCP. We're not saying, like, guys, PCP's got such a bad rap. There's a lot of really bad stuff that can come out of ingesting PCP. It's just that superhuman strength is not one of them. That's just a myth, and it has been used. It's been argued to target those marginalized communities who use PCP, and it's been used to justify excessive force. So much so, I saw that the less than lethal weapon industry, tasers, bear spray, all that stuff, that did not exist until the cops started being criticized for using excessive force. And they had the decision to either use their police baton, their nightstick, or their gun. That's all they had. And they when they encountered PCP users, they needed another option. So is that
why we have that stuff?
Yes, that is why to subdue PCP users. That's why that whole industry exists. That's why it began.
Is that why I have bear spray hanging up at my camp on the wall?
That's right, because of PCP users in Washington, D.C., in Anacostia.
I don't want to spray a bear, even.
I think you're okay. If a bear's coming at you, you can spray that bear.
I mean, I would. That's why it's there. I just said I don't want to. Like, my first line of defense at camp is I have an air horn.
That's a good one.
So annoy my friends, drive away the bear, drive away my friends. Air horns are the worst.
Yeah, on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and then the bear spray would be the last resort.
I'll tell you what you do, Chuck. This is what you do. You got a bear coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
You lay down.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, prostrate when you're face down?
I don't remember.
Well, let's say it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't remember. But you're laying face down, pretending you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till the bear comes over and kind of moves you with its paw. And you roll over and spray it in the face with the bear spray. Kind of like that whole trope where you roll somebody over and they're holding like a bunch of grenades with the pins pulled out.
Right.
Same thing, but with bear spray.
That's a great idea.
I think so, too. I think we should go try it.
Elizabeth Banks should have made PCP Bear instead of Cocaine Bear. I know we disagree about that.
Yes, we do.
But what we can agree is that the story about the crew of the Titanic movie, not the boat itself,
right,
but when James Cameron was making Titanic, this sounds so much like an urban legend, but it's actually true that I think it was another crew member. That part I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was another crew member.
It's a mystery still. Like they've never fully unmasked the person. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they dosed some chowder with PCP and dosed everyone who ate that chowder, which was a lot or most of the crew. And it really happened. And I think different stories come out of that. You know, I think some people had a really hard time. Some people probably loved it.
Yeah, apparently there was a conga line and wheelchair racing in the ER at the local hospital. But then other people, were not having a good time at all. So James Cameron said that one of the crew members, I think he said a PA, stabbed him in the face with a pen. And he said he was just laughing about it. Like James Cameron was laughing about having been stabbed in the face with a pen.
The PA said, "This is for Avatar. That hasn't even happened yet."
Right. But this was, I think the biggest star that got it was Bill Paxton, because they were shooting those current day shots in like Nova Scotia or something.
Oh boy, I hope that old lady, old Rose, didn't have it.
She was at a restaurant. She did not.
Woo! Man, could you imagine?
No, that'd be really bad. We don't want our senior friends taking PCP, especially not accidentally.
Her acting might have improved. You never know.
I thought she did so-so.
She wasn't very good, in my opinion.
So, you want to take a break?
Sure.
Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about some problems with getting high on PCP. We've all had the experience of calling a business and just wanting to talk to a real person. Not an automated voice pretending to be human, an actual person who can listen and understand and offer help.
That's exactly what you can do with Ruby. Ruby is the virtual receptionist company that takes care of your callers when you're unavailable, in the middle of something, or simply don't want to pick up.
That's right. They can answer, screen, transfer calls. They can take messages, collect payments, book appointments, and more, all while making the people you serve feel special.
And best of all, it can help you be more productive. For example, 9 out of 10 lawyers who use Ruby log more billable hours per day than the national average.
And other professionals like plumbers and technicians win more customers while being able to stay focused on the job. But whatever kind of small business you run, Ruby is built to save you time, earn you more customers or clients, and make meaningful connections with the people you serve.
It's available 24/7, 365 days a year, and 100% based in the U.S. See why more than 15,000 small businesses use Ruby. Visit Ruby.com, or better yet, call them at 844-900-RUBY. Hey everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's U.S.-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about Simply Safe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, Simply Safe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes. So it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the Simply Safe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the Simply Safe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplysafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplysafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Work can be a little weird. One minute you're in a meeting that could have been an email. The next you're trying to decode corporate jargon that somehow means nothing. And don't even get us started on the quick sync that turns into a 45-minute deep dive.
Yeah, well, the truth is figuring out your career isn't always straightforward. Whether you're trying to grow, pivot, or just stay relevant, it can feel like you're navigating it all on your own. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in.
That's right. LinkedIn can help you grow your career, helping you confidently navigate your path with insights, ideas, and inspiration from your professional community. You can stay up to date with the latest trends in your field, connect with people who get it, and discover opportunities tailored to your goals, your experience, and what actually matters to you.
Whether you're looking for something new or just trying to grow where you are, LinkedIn gives you the tools and connections to move forward with confidence. Because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Chuck, one of the things about PCP that makes it so vexing is that the symptoms that it can produce are really undesirable. And an overdose threshold is not very high at all. It basically dances along the top end of a normal dose. So a normal dose is between 5 and 10 milligrams. I saw as low as 1.
Yeah.
But after about 10 milligrams, or maybe even at 10 milligrams, you might start exhibiting the exact same symptoms of somebody in the throes of a schizophrenic episode.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second, but part of the problem there, I mean, that's a problem, period, but part of the problem is the dosage, especially if you're smoking fry or Sherm or something like that, is I'm sure the dosage isn't that accurate when you're dipping a joint or a cigarette in liquid. It's probably hard to tell how much is on there.
No, but I read that you can control it much more easily. You just take a hit and wait a couple minutes, and then if you start to come down, you take another hit. And I saw it like an old cop say you can, if you smoke it, with intent, I guess, you can stay high for 24 hours just from one Sherm stick.
Right, which means if this is something that you know to do and recreationally do often, then you probably know what you're doing. But if someone's like, "Here, try this thing," and then Ed, use the example of someone who like finds the joint on the street or something, and I'm sure that's happened, but I kind of lump that in with that 80s hysteria of like, you might come across a cigarette that's been laced with PCP that you don't know about, or buy a marijuana joint that's laced with PCP. Like, I'm sure that really didn't happen very much.
So no, it does not happen very much. Those stories they abound, but they're also really, really rare. But there are stories of people who have done horrific things on PCP.
Sure.
The qualifier is, though, that they already had pre-existing mental disorders. And the PCP does not do any favors for you if you have a pre-existing mental condition. Even if it hasn't come out yet or emerged yet, it'll make it emerge. And they argue that it's possible that even if you didn't have one that was going to come out eventually, PCP could conceivably, especially after prolonged use, essentially infect you with schizophrenia.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen more often than anything else. Is it 100% will exacerbate something like that, but it can also why can't we think of the word? Instill,
deliver,
produce. It can produce schizophrenia. And a little bit of a silver lining on that is they actually can use PCP now and do use PCP as far as studying schizophrenia and, how those two are related in humans.
Yeah,
so
that's a big
small
one.
silver lining.
They give PCP to primates and study what happens to study schizophrenia. And then weirdly, they're also looking at PCP as a way to study or produce drugs that treat Alzheimer's, because schizophrenia apparently is associated with a lack of glutamate. Remember, PCP inhibits glutamate. And Alzheimer's results from, they think, an overabundance of glutamate in the brain. And so PCP has both of those effects. It can induce schizophrenia. It could treat Alzheimer's conceivably. So I think the fact that it has so many terrible myths around it has really made people cautious about suggesting doing research using PCP.
Yeah, it's not like researching microdosing mushrooms or something like that.
No, but there is a whole thread of inquiry into it to say, like, okay, this is doing some stuff to the brain that we should be studying.
Yeah, it can also induce seizures. It can really ramp up your heart rate. It can produce rapid involuntary eye movement. It's called nystagmus.
Yeah, and not just like side to side or up and down, but in rotary fashion is one of the ways. So your eyes are just going in a
cartoon style.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And it just seems to be sort of all over the map as far like a very unpredictable drug as far as its sedative qualities and then it's sort of amping you up qualities.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier, where you can just vacillate between extreme agitation and catatonia, essentially, and on the same trip over and over again.
Really interesting.
It is extremely interesting. One of the other big problems with it, and this is why I said you probably shouldn't vote if you are a frequent PCP user, not because you're a member of a marginal community, but because you probably have some really strange beliefs about yourself and your place in the universe.
Yeah.
One of the big things that comes out of it is, especially prolonged use and chronic use, is a shift in your spiritual and religious beliefs. And typically it kind of comes down to, oh, I'm a god and I need to just be hanging out and not doing much because that's what gods do.
Yeah, and that's also kind of ties back into the, even though it's not superhuman strength, just a feeling of invincibility. But I've also seen that it's not so much usually it's not an invincibility of like, I can take anyone on who wants to fight me. It's more of like, I'm invincible in a good way. Like I can do whatever I want. Again, not suggesting that it's like a motivational tool or something like that.
Sure.
But it's just one of the things that can happen.
And then conversely, if you are feeling like, say, socially anxious, you're probably going to experience profound paranoia.
Oh, man,
it'll amplify it one way or another. It's the same thing with LSD, that whole set and setting thing.
Right.
So what else is there, Chuck?
Well, if you become addicted to PCP, there isn't like a sort of a straight ahead pharmaceutical treatment. It's going to, you're going to have to wean yourself off of it through therapy and treatment, basically. I think Ed did find that chlorpromazine, which is a drug, it can help reverse the effects if you're like overdosing on PCP, but it's not like the kind of thing you use to break an addiction.
No, and you can get addicted. It does have a high incidence of dependence because
that's why it's Schedule 2. Yeah.
Exactly. Not everything Schedule 2 is actually addictive, but in this case, it's actually correct. It stimulates your reward center so much that it produces euphoria that you want it again, but also it can physically alter your brain, not just to make you believe that you are a god or something on Earth, but also to make that threshold for your reward system higher, so it's harder to feel good even on a normal basis, and in turn you end up having to ingest more and more amounts of PCP to get high, and that's a classic hallmark of dependency.
Yep, classic hallmark of many drugs because you use more and more, and then that just becomes more and more dangerous.
Yeah, and the withdrawal symptoms are really bad too. You can very frequently fall into major depression that can last weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the symptoms don't ever go away. Like you might have trouble talking or speaking. It's not a good thing to get into, especially long term.
Yeah, and it's not the 70s anyway. What are you doing with PCP these days?
Did you see that Saturday Night Live skit with Tracy Morgan and Will Ferrell and Matthew Broderick?
No.
Oh.
Is that what you sent me?
Yes.
That link took me straight to a clip of The Ladies' Man.
Oh, right. That's why I gave you the timestamp at the end. It's like at the end of that whole episode.
All right, I missed that. I was like, what does a ladies' man got to do with this? I was like, I love the ladies' man bit, but...
Right. No, it had nothing to do with it. Although,
so what was it?
It was basically like inside the actor's studio kind of type thing, but for comedy. Yeah. So it was real highbrow. Matthew Broderick's the host.
Right.
And he was focusing on drug-based comedy that had been inspired by Cheech and Chong, and he featured Orbit and Zach or something like that, who did PCP comedy. It
was Tracy Morgan?
Yeah, Tracy Morgan was Zach or whatever, and Will Ferrell was Orbit. And they played little clips from their hit records from the 70s. And it's just them like screaming about how there's snakes in the toilet and shooting the toilet with a shotgun. It's really funny. Even if the stuff is mythical, it's just so easy to make really hilarious jokes off of PCP.
I mean, that's what comedy is. No one's going to come along and say, like, actually, that's not what PCP does.
Right, exactly.
That's good stuff.
Yep. And then one other thing, if you want maybe a less than accurate depiction of PCP, you can check out the movie from 1982 called Desperate Lives.
Was that the Helen Hunt one?
Yes. A teenage Helen Hunt smokes PCP, jumps out of a second-story window in her high school and becomes paralyzed as a result.
Yeah. Was that an actual after-school special, or was it just a movie?
It's possible.
It had that stank.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was definitely a made-for-TV anti-drug movie, but I'm not sure if it came on after school or not.
I remember I have very vivid memories of that one. And then I know I mentioned it before, probably in one of the marijuana episodes. The Chachi in Charge, who's the guy?
Scott Baio? Scott
Baio was in one on marijuana. And I remember that's the first time I heard a bong because he smoked out of a bong and it had that bubbling. And it's like, what is that? I was like, it sounds like Rice Krispies or something. And I was a little kid. I was just like, I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Scott Baio and Helen Hunt. You should get those two together.
Yeah, apparently Helen Hunt was in two anti-PCP made-for-TV specials.
Okay, I thought that one was an LSD one. Two PCPs.
Yep.
Good for her.
Yeah, that's how her career started.
Yeah, and then she went on to star in the show Mad About PCP.
That's right. And then she did a guest spot with Orbit and Zach.
Oh, man, I gotta watch that now.
Yeah, it's at the very end. I think it's the last skit.
All right, I'm going to cue it up.
All right. Well, while Chuck's queuing it up, everybody, that means it's time for listener mail.
Oh, wait. So I can't watch it right now?
Sure, we'll wait.
Okay.
It's pretty funny, but you can't turn it up. You have to put it on your headphones because we can't pay for the copyright usage.
Let me find it. Boy, is there anyone funnier than Tracy Morgan?
I don't think so.
I love that guy. So this is about manners. Hey guys, it's been a million years. It's your old Canadian pal Amanda here, who missed the Toronto live show. So Amanda says, I remember Amanda. Many moons ago when Stuff You Should Know was new and my boy Grant was about 11, Chuck sent me an email response that encouraged Grant to read more, and he did. Thanks for that. He's 27 now. Oh, goodness. And a carpenter living in Calgary who read your book. We are still avid listeners, and you guys kept him company on his recent drive from Toronto. You're the best companions on drives and while doing household chores, while doing so many other things. Anyway, about manners, my grandmother was a stickler for good manners, as were my parents. I passed that on to Grant, and we've often been told how good manners make situations so much easier. I was recently asked in a professional development setting what the best advice for life I ever received was, and obviously I responded with what I told my kid and now stepkids: manners are free and they're a social lubricant. It always gets a laugh, and then once considered, a nod and a, oh, that's right.
And then everybody has a sandwich and goes their separate ways.
The dining table, if someone forgets their napkin on their lap or cuts their food all at once instead of eating it bite by bite. My partner and I will say, what if you were invited to dine with the Queen? And it always gets a big eye roll and giggle at the table. And make sure that the napkins are also in laps, though, and the food is cut properly. It's a fun game for all. I hope you have a marvelous day. Can't wait to hear the next episode. After all these years, Stuff You Should Know is rock and roll.
Nice. That was Amanda.
That was Amanda. Manners are free, though. I like that. I don't so much the social lubricant part I might lose, because manners are free is just so succinct.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that.
I was thinking, remember I was kind of railing about elbows on the table just being so dated and unnecessary?
Sure.
I've been thinking about it since then. And while I still agree that it's a great example of people being overly uptight about manners, as if their identity is associated with it, and if you violate it, you're somehow insulting them, I disagree with that part. But I realized that being aware of whether your elbows are on the table or not makes you more aware of everything, your surroundings, the people with you, the food you're eating. It just like makes you focus more. So I'm kind of down with keeping your elbows off the table. Not because somebody told you to, because you can do whatever you want as far as your elbows are concerned, as long as you don't put them in somebody else's space. But because it makes you more mindful.
Don't dip your elbows in your partner's soup. But I do want to say there's a couple of elbows on the table methods, though. If you're in the middle of eating and you've got like your elbow on the table and you're hunched forward and you're eating with the other hand, I think that's kind of the rule. But like if you're eating and you're done and you're having conversation, to push the plate away and put both elbows on the table and pat your hands together in a pensive way while you think of something smart and funny, like that's a whole different deal.
Yeah, well, that's elegant. Okay. So I've been training myself by putting a little dab of Momo's poop on each of my elbows right before dinner to make sure that I don't put them on the dinner table. It's working really well.
That poop stays on your elbows where it belongs.
That was from Amanda. What was her son's name? The one you inspired?
Grant, who has been listening since 11 and is now, 60.
That's awesome. Thanks for listening to us, Amanda and Grant. And thank you for listening to this episode. And if you want to get in touch with us, like Amanda did and Grant by proxy, you can send us an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Hey, quick question for the parents listening right now. When's the last time your kid asked for something and you actually felt good saying yes? Because lately, a lot of families have been hearing the same thing. Can I have Lingo Kids, please?
And here's the thing. Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids with more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows. Astronauts, wild animals, superheroes, dinosaurs. It's literally everything kids love all in one place.
So when they ask for it, you can actually feel good saying yes. Download Lingo Kids for free and start exploring today, or unlock even more amazing content with Lingo Kids Plus. And if you go with the yearly plan, you can save up to 60%. Just search Lingo Kids in the App Store or Google Play. Lingo Kids, everything kids love. You could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days, guaranteed, or your money back. Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute. So Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, they're chef-inspired flavors, it's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love, and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
Stuff at Sea is a 5-night, adults-only sailing trip that brings the Stuff podcast universe to life on board. This voyage is a culture-soaked escape where pink sand paradise meets curious minds. Sailing round trip from New York City to Bermuda on October 2nd to 7th, 2026, this voyage drops you straight into the iHeart Podcast Stuff universe. On top of the adults-only experience you already love, you'll get live podcast episode recordings, behind-the-scenes sessions, themed activations, and more unmissable onboard moments. Learn more at virginvoyages.com/stuff.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.